All right, let's talk about how you might find the inventory for a specific company at a given time. So the inventory, that's how many items you currently have in stock. Okay, so that's how many you have in your possession. So to find that, we start with what we had before. So maybe going back a month or a week. You add to that any receipts. That means anything that's coming in, and you subtract from it any issues. Those are things that have been sold or given out. Okay, so that makes sense, right? This is what you started with. This is anything that's new that came in minus anything that was either sold or sent out from the store. Okay, so don't be confused by this is incoming, this is outgoing. Okay, so here's an example. It says Johnny Jumpers has this inventory record for its pogo sticks. What was the number on hand on August 16th? So notice on their inventory sheet they have dates when their stock changed because there was either some sold or some received. So on August 1st they received 89 units, and that's how many they had on hand, which makes sense if they were just starting out. On August 10th, something changed. On August 10th, they issued 22. So what does that do to your inventory? That would drop the inventory, right? So now they would have 89 minus those 22. On August 16th, it changed again because they received 34 new units. And then on August 28th, they issued 46. So if we want to know how many they had on hand on August 16th, we need to come to this point in the chart. We're not worried about the 28th because we only want up until August 16th what happened. So again, we started with 89. Okay. Then on the 10th, they issued 22. Remember, issues are things that are sold and those that are subtracted. Okay, so we have to subtract 22. And then on the 16th, on the day we're talking about, they received 34, and that we add. Okay, so we have our previous inventory of 89 plus 34 units that were received on the 16th minus the 22 that were issued on August 10th. And if we do this, calculate this, we will know how many units they had on August 16th. Okay, when I calculate that, 89 plus 34 minus 22, I get 101. So they had 101 units on hand on the August 16th. Okay, this is the same company, still Johnny Jumpers and their pogo sticks. This time we want to know what was the number on hand on August 28th. This is exactly the same inventory sheet. Okay, so it doesn't make sense to start all over again, right? Because we know we started with 89, they gave out 22, and then they received 34, and then on the 16th they had 101 on hand. We calculated that in our last problem. So on the 28th they issued 46 more. So we started with 101. We're supposed to add any receipts, but between the 16th and the 18th they didn't receive any new units, and then subtract any that were issued. So really we just had 100 and we issued 46 more, which means we sold or got rid of 46 more. So now we have 101 minus 46, which is 55. Okay, so on August 28th they would have 55 of these pogo sticks on hand. Okay, this inventory sheet looks a little different. It goes month by month, so it tells you February, what you started with, how many you received, how many you issued, and then the number you have on hand at the end of that month. So using our formula, we can see this is correct. We had an opening balance of 500. They received 80, so we add 80. That gives us 580. They issued 120, so if you take 580 minus 120, they had 460 on hand. When we go to March, notice whatever we had at the end of February, that's what we'll have at the beginning of March, because we're assuming nothing's going to change between the last day of February and the first day of March. During March, they received 70, okay, so that takes them up for 530, and they issued 110, so that would subtract 530 minus 110 gives us 420, and that's how many we had on hand at the end of March. Now, April's starting balance is missing, but we know that whatever we had at the end of March, that's what we should start with at the beginning of April. Okay, and then we go ahead and move on. Let's see what our question is first. Okay, so the inventory record for Cooper Glass shows the status of 24 by 32 windows. What was the number, on hand at the end of May? So we want to know this number clear at the end of May. Well, to get that, we have to know what we started with at the beginning of May. So notice we've went ahead and filled in the start of April. Okay, but they told us at the end of April we'd have 440, which means at the start of May we would also have 440. Okay, we received nothing. Okay, so no units received. So we're adding 0 new units, but we issued 40, so we do have to subtract 40. Okay, 440 minus 40 gives us 400. So in this case, our answer is there's 400 units on hand at the end of May. Okay, and this problem seems a little backwards. Probably should have asked this one first. What was the number on hand at the beginning of May? So again, we can always look and see, well, at the end of April, there were 440 on hand. So at the beginning of May, there should still be 440. In that one day, they're assuming no changes have happened overnight. Okay, so that was a pretty easy one to answer on that one. But again, maybe those questions were out of order. Okay, but that is how we find the inventory using an inventory sheet. Your inventory, or your number of items on hand, is your previous inventory plus any receipts minus any issues.